Hey, what's up everybody? Jesse here, out in the baits today, and I had a little bit of time to do some fishing solo this morning, waiting for some clients to get here right around 11. And I wanted to do a video real quick talking about using the spot lock trolling motor around these bridge pilings and kind of how I do it. I know it's really self-explanatory kind of, but I at least wanted to put it out there and run through it real quick. So let me show you what I do and how I set up on them. All right, first thing I do is I pull up. I went ahead and got the motor deployed. And you can idle around on the big motor with it in the water, just kind of keep it pointed straight. And go ahead and turn it on, of course, get your remote and everything on. And give it a little bit of time to get a good lock on some satellites. You don't want to just throw it right in the water and hit spot lock because it's not going to work all that great. Thankfully, this bridge is kind of elevated, so the spot lock does work pretty good. And I'll take a good look at the current. And right now I can tell the current is definitely flowing out that way, but it's kind of coming from an angle from the North Bay. It's definitely not straight with the pilings, it's kind of coming this way. So you definitely want to be on the side that is the current's coming away from the pilings, because if you get on that side of these pilings, the current's just going to take you right into them constantly. And I'll go ahead and ease up, use manual control at first to kind of settle it in, and then just go ahead and hit the spot lock button and just see what it does. You know, and at this point is when I'll go ahead and grab some poles and stuff and start baiting them up and just kind of watch it and make sure it's acting right and that it's nice and steady. Now just give it a second and let it settle in. You definitely want to go ahead of where you want it to stay some and then lock it, because it's going to back off and then try to recover, and it never really fully recovers to where it was from what I've seen. So you always kind of want to get up a little bit ahead of where you want to end up. All right, so it's settling in pretty good here. Now just let it do its thing while I'm getting my poles and stuff ready. And then when I'm ready to fish, what I'll do is go ahead and bump it over with the jog feature, you know, that the hitting sensor gives you. And just tell it to go to the right one time, so it should move over about 5 feet or so. You kind of got to watch it though, because when you start getting closer to the pilings, you know, it'll drop a few satellites on the GPS lock and it can get a little wonky on you. You know, it has gone crazy, turned and rammed me right into the bridge before, so always keep your eyes on it. Don't fully trust it. It's doing pretty good. So at this point, what I'll do is take the motor in the back and I'll crank it and use it as a rudder. So right now I turned it hard that way, so that all that water going by it is going to push and bring the rear end of the boat around. And you can see it's already bringing me right around pretty good. A lot better than it was anyway. So you can reach this back piling. So right now with the poles that I use, you know, these long poles, I can reach right out and fish this piling, and also get right up here and reach out and fish that piling as well. It'll work just fine. Now keep in mind, if you get up on the nose of this boat and get up around that trolling motor, you're gonna, so most of the time, cause it to lose its tracking, because you're going to be blocking some of the satellites coming in because they're line of sight pretty much. So I've noticed that every time I get up on the nose of the boat and I'm standing up especially, it starts messing up, it starts drifting, it'll lose where it's at. So you're better off to kind of stay away from it some if you can, which is hard to do sometimes. And it definitely will help it track a lot better. And one thing I've noticed that is they always seems to gravitate towards the piling slowly over time, really depending on where you're at and how good of a lock it has. But you definitely always got to keep your remote handy, learn your buttons fast. I always have my remote right on my side, and develop that memory to where you can go to it and jog it away quickly if you need to. And this is actually much easier to do lining the boat up, you know, when the current's flowing, because you can use the motor as a rudder. But when the current stops and you get that slack tide, and especially when it's switching around, that's when you're kind of at the mercy of the wind, really. And most of the time you end up fishing off the nose of the boat, it seems, because you don't have any flowing water to help keep the boat kind of parallel to the pilings. So you end up stuck basically up on the front trying to fish, which is a little annoying. And then of course you're closer to the trolling motor and it starts getting wonky on you and, you know, drifting. It can be very frustrating. So I definitely like it better when the current's flowing like it is right now. And plus the sheep's head do as well. They always seem to bite better when the current's moving. I mean, that's really pretty much it as far as staging the motor. You know, it's doing a pretty good job of spotlight right now. If you do need to get up on the front, I definitely would recommend just sitting down on the front of the boat because it's safer. That way you'll help the trolling motor out to stay locked better. You can pretty much fish these pilings pretty effectively this way. So, all right, so that's just a quick run through of what I do to stage this boat up on the pilings. The motor actually works really good as a rudder. And I'm actually considering long-term putting a stern thruster of some type on the back of the boat to help me out even more. I may do that sometime in the future. Definitely go overkill on the motor if you buy one. Get the biggest one you can. Because out here in the bay, you really need the power that it provides. And get a long shaft too, because this one here is a 72-inch shaft. And at times, I can still pull it out of the water with this bay boat. And this front of this boat sits a lot lower than like a DP. So that's what's up. Peace out. See y'all.